Hello and welcome to the Lisey Designs YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the latest design, which is called, Lisey Large Clutch. This is going to be the same set of instructions for all three sizes, which will include the 8x12, the 6x10 and the 7.9x7.9, which is 8x8. There are going to be three parts to the design, and then you have the option of either sewing up your seams using the embroidery machine, or you can do what other people are doing and use a sewing machine. But because I say this is an in the hoop bag, I always include the final stages in the hoop. So this bag is this size. I think it's about 10 by 6 3/4 inches, and it uses three parts. So I'm using three different vinyls to show you that you can use lots of different vinyls if you want to, which makes it look pretty spectacular. I have accessorized my bag by making a matching tassel, which is made out of this fabric. I've got a YouTube video on how to make that. They're really simple and super fast. There's also a bag clasp twist lock, and I have added a YouTube for adding that as well. So this clutch, I've lined mine with felt, using wool felt. You can use any felt, or you can use vinyl if you want to, but I've used felt. It's pretty quick and easy. That's the seam here, so the seam are not so visible on this bag, and the outside of the seam is right there. The seam for the front part is right at the bottom, so that's on the inside of the bag, right down the bottom, down there. As you will see, there is a zipped purse here. That's how deep it is, my finger depth. There's a pocket that goes over the front of the purse, and there will be two bank card slots and a pocket over the bank cards as well. So it's a really handy bag, actually. I'm really chuffed with it. So you will need to use a zip, which I recommend using about a 9-inch zip. The section itself is not 9 inches, but I'd rather you be, the section is 6 inches, but you need to have a little bit overlapping both sides so that your needle doesn't catch as it's going round. The zip needs to be placed on the placement upside down as well, because you're going to be making most of this design underneath the hoop, just to keep the stitching nice and looking nice and spectacular. So yeah, three parts to the design. You've got your front flap, which goes over the top. You've got the front panel, which goes underneath the flap, and then you've got the back part. The back part is where everything happens, so you're adding your purse, your bank cards and your pockets to the back section, and then you'll add your flap and your front section to it, and then it'll all come together and it'll look lovely. So I have already done P1 and P2. The P stands for part, so it's part 1 and part 2. There's only two parts to it. So you, first of all, when you're following your PDF, you literally stitch your placement onto your stabilizer, and then then you put your felt or your lining, whatever you're using, underneath the hoop, good side facing out, and you put your vinyl or your leatherette or your canvas on top of the hoop, good side facing up, and you stitch them both together. Two parts, really quick. So I've done mine already. So that's my front flap, that's my lining, and that's my front panel, and that's my lining. So I've used the same lining, different fabrics. I'm going to use black on the back of my bag, and I'm going to keep the felt as my lining throughout the whole bag. Okay, so what I've done already is I've stitched out the lining, I've stitched out the placement for P3. So this is number 1 on P3. Your zip, your fabric, and your the bag, basically the bag. So what we need to do is get to it, because I've got loads of things that I need to do today, including meeting my daughters brand new ragdoll kittens. She's bought 2 of them, so I'm going around there this morning and having a little cuddle with some kittens. So I need to get this done. So I'm going to take you down, and you are going to watch how easy and how fabulous this clutch dart design is. Right, 2 seconds. Okay, so as I said, the zip opening is this end here, and the zip needs to go upside down. So this is your opening. Yes, you open, make sure your zip open and closes fine. Put the opening of the zip at the bottom and tape your zip in place, making sure that your metal parts of the zip don't come anywhere near the ends of the zip. And what we need to do is we're going to stitch up one side of the zip first. We're going to stop the machine, and we're going to sew down the other side of the zip. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed that everything works out. I'm using black thread, so I can see my zip quite easily. What's happened to my tape there? This is just masking tape that I'm using. You can use decorator's tape, the blue stuff, brilliant. I've run out of that one, so I'm using this tape. So we're going to stitch up one side, we're going to stop when we get to the top of the zip, and then we're going to stitch down the other side, close the zip up at the same time, and keep our fingers crossed that it works. It's only going to do a single line. It's not going to do a boom stitch, but we need to stop it, not cut it. We need to stop the machine. Right, so I can see that that's my placement, so I've managed to stop it before it starts like going over to the other side. So what I need to do now is close my zip so that it closes and it shuts about here. So find my hand, my needle up, and close my zip down. So I'm going to make sure that this part of the zip is facing up. Get a bit of tape and tape the rest of this down. Need a little bit more. Get to the end of the zip. And we need to take the rest of it, stitch the rest down. See that I held my zip down then, so just so that it weren't bubbling up. I didn't want it to catch. What we can do is add a little bit of tape there. Okay, so now the zip is stitched down. It doesn't stitch across this, so I've tried to eliminate it being able to catch on your needle. What we need to do is turn the hoop over and remove the stabilizer from the machine, from the back of the zip. So I'm just going to use my applique scissors and quickly cut this out. I've tried to make this as easy as possible, and it's taken quite a few attempts to get it right. I'm hoping this is the last attempt. So I've removed the stabilizer from the hoop, from the machine, and I'm going to put my backing felt over the back of my design, making sure that everything is covered. And to guarantee that it's not gonna move, is I'm gonna put a little bit of temporary adhesive spray, which is this one that I use. See? 505 temporary adhesive spray will work just as well, but don't make sure that you don't use anything like a spray mount or anything like that, because that's for paper, it's not for fabric, and it'll gum your machine up. Right, so I need to carefully place that back on the machine. And what I want to do is I want to move this zip out of the way, I think. Out of the way like that, just push that down a little bit. And when the needle comes close to that zip, I'm going to pull the zip back out of the way again. Right, it's got really close, so I'm going to lift up my needle and I'm going to get the back of the zip, and I'm going to move the zip out of the way. Because I've left this little part of the zip easy enough to grab hold of, I can move it right out of the way and it will not get in my way now. So, worked out perfectly. Now it's going to go over and do the 2 bank card slots. Nearly touched it then. Let's move that anyway. We'll just come unthreaded. Let's lift that. Thread that back again. What? This might get in your way, but it shouldn't get in your way, so I'm going to leave it to see. Okay, so now that that part is completely finished, what we need to do is remove the hoop from the machine again, and we need to cut these bank slots out. Just cut 2 lines using a craft knife, and we also need to cut the zip to expose the zip so that it can open and close. I'm going to remove this tape because we don't need the tape anymore, so I'm just going to remove as much as I possibly can, if not all. If I can, I'll move it all. Very sticky tape. Good enough. You won't see that anyway. So, right, now we need to remove it from the hoop and we need to cut the zip and the bank cards. So I am going to get my cutting mat. Okay, as you can see, this is the back of the hoop. This is the zip part and this is the bank card slots. So because the bank card slots are straight, I'm going to cut it from the other way, but first of all I'm going to cut this zip. So I'm going to give myself a little opening, get my plique scissors in there, and cut myself a nice straight line. If you find that you can't cut a straight line, I would suggest using cutting out this entire section so that it will be like this. It'll be like that, so you can see the zip. Doesn't look bad. If anything, I think it probably looks better. Why don't we just do that? Should we just do that? Yeah, I think we should. Let's just take it out. I'm going to remove the little end once I've added the pocket section, the back of the lining I mean, because I haven't got a line there, so I don't want to just judge it. And then I need to turn it over and I can feel my cutting mat underneath. I just need to cut nice and straight through the stabilizer and through my felt up to there. And also I'm going to remove the rest of this zip because I don't need it, and remove it from here as well. Definitely don't need that bit. Right, you're going to find that this part of the zip here might get caught, so we're going to put a bit of tape on there and we're going to sew the tape in just to eliminate it from being caught when it stitches out this section here, because this is going to be the next section. So what I need to do now is I need to add my lining. Okay, let's add some lining. Now we need to add our lining fabric. Now I'm actually using fabric on this. I'm not using felt or vinyl. I'm going to use some fabric. I've cut it bigger than I actually need, and I am going to tape it in place and stitch it down. Taping all four corners just to make sure that the fabric doesn't move. Okay, now that it's taped in place, I am going to put the hoop back on the machine, and that way, and I'm going to stitch it down. Right, let's stitch it down. While it's stitching it down, it's also going to put a stitch line across the end of the zip as well. make sure that my zip won't get caught. Where is it? It's there. It shouldn't get caught. But I'm going to move it. I'm just going to make sure that it's not going to get caught, because I don't want it to catch. I'll move it down a bit. It shouldn't get caught. I should have trust in myself. I have faith in myself. It shouldn't catch. And that's the zip part right there. Okay, now we need to take off the remaining excess of fabric from our pocket. Using our handy applique scissors. That's all tidy. Lovely, 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 lovely. Okay, we're going to stitch out the placement now for the pocket. I'm going to turn the hoop over to see what's going on behind. Now, as you can see, we've got a stitched line across the end of the zip now, so I can remove the excess of this with my applique scissors. So I'll do that now so that I don't forget to do it. That's done. I've got a few little ends, ties that I need to trim up. Right, so now I need to add the pocket. Now if you can see that the pocket guide sits over this line here. So you can see where the double line is. So there's one there and there's one there, because the stitches are just that little bit thicker. So we need to line our pocket up with these pocket placement lines here. I've already pre-cut a piece of vinyl which matches the vinyl that I'm using in the front of the bag, and I need to make sure that I put a piece of tape in the middle here and in the middle at the bottom, because the pocket is not the only piece to get stitched down. It's also going to do the side of the purse, which will make a purse like this size. Otherwise, if we don't put a line here, when you put your money in your money's going to go everywhere. So we need to try and eliminate it from doing that by putting a line up the middle of the purse. Right, where's my tape gone? What have I done with it? There it is. Okay, so we're going to take this in place, and on the either end. bit in the middle. My tape's going to run out. I've got another one somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I was using it, and then all of a sudden it's vanished. Tape monster's taken it. Now you just put things down, you just don't know where you put them down. Well, that's me today. Looks like I just have enough tape. It's going to run out though, so I need to get myself some more. And then carefully place it back on the hoop, and it will stitch down the middle, and then it will stitch your pocket. Okay, we need to remove it from the hoop again. There we go. And we need to remove the excess from the pocket. Okay, scissors, the pocket. Okay, this tape's not needed anymore, so you can remove this tape. And on the other side there's a piece of tape right here. I'm going to take that off as well, and I'm going to put a little bit of tape over this zip, because when the machine was stitching out this, I saw it jump, which means this zip was catching on the needle plate. So I'm going to put a little bit of the tiniest bit of tape that's left. Look, I've finished using the rest of the tape now. I'm just going to put a little bit over there just to stop it from catching. Put the hoop back on the machine. Now there's an option, if you don't want to do this, just skip this section. But there is an option to put a satin stitch, which I like putting a satin stitch around the pocket, because I think if you're not very tidy with your cutting, then it will hide your cutting on the pocket. Take that bit off as well. I don't need that bit either, do I? There we go. We can tidy that up. Don't need that. But yeah, if you don't want to do a satin stitch, jump over to the next section, the next step. So I'm going to do my satin stitch now. Now what we need to do is place our finishing vinyl, which is the back of our clutch, over the placement line, and stitch it down. Make sure that it's going to cover. It's going to do a panel here, and then it's going to do a panel here. Okay, so now that everything is stitched, what we need to do is we need to add the panels, the flap and the front panel to this bag. The pocket is right here. The flap always needs to be opposite the pocket, because otherwise the bag will be upside down. So this is the purse top and this is the pocket down here. So the flap will go on this side and P1 will go on this side, which is the front panel, which is this one here. And what you need to do is you need to see that you've got a stitched line underneath here. Just lift this up and you'll see your stitched line. Turn your front panel over, your P1 panel over, and what you need to do is you need to sit this stitched line on the stitched line that's underneath here, so it'll be lining up to here and here. My vinyl is just a little bit bigger than I actually need, so I'm going to cut this a little bit off so that I can see it a little bit better, because I didn't actually cut this down. This is a little bit bigger than an A4 piece of vinyl. I cut that down and I'll be able to see it a little bit easier. I'm going to do the same for this side as well, just so I can see it a little bit easier. Make sure that it is right. Yeah, that's the top of the bag. Yeah, I am doing it right. I'm just going to cut this off. If you're using an A4 piece, you shouldn't need to do this. Mine's just a little bit bigger than an A4. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to place this underneath this vinyl here so that they sit on top of each other. You'll see that where you cut this part out here, this corner is taken off, and I took the corner off so that you could slot it in here a little bit easier. So yeah, put it underneath there. Should we put a bit of tape on it to hold it? Yeah, I think we will. Oh, there's my other tape, look. Ta-da! We'll put a bit of tape on just to hold it in place. But on the edge, I don't want to be able to see the tape. Let's push that underneath there. That bit's in. We push that bit in as well. Take your time getting this right. Yeah, that's not in enough yet. That's it right there. Right. If I have a little bit of tape showing, it doesn't matter. I'll whip it off. But just want to make sure that it's going to be held. I think it is. Let's have a look. Nope, look. Just a little bit out. So I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to take that off and I'm going to push it back in a bit more. Didn't push it in enough. Everything else has been caught, but that side didn't get caught. Let's get that seam ripper in there. Rip that off. Yeah, it's just literally just that corner didn't get caught. The rest of it has, but it's better to be more cautious than not cautious. So you don't have to do it all over again. Let's get that off. Seam rippers are great, aren't they? Right, let's push that in a bit more. There. Yeah, there. Right, let's start that one again. I think it's caught it. And we do the same for the top flap. Same again. So we're going to line the top flap up with this line here. Vinyl facing upwards, or pattern or whatever you're using. I'm going to push it in a little bit more than what we need to, just to make sure that it catches. It's on there, that side, no problem. And let's push that in a bit more, that side. Yeah. I'm not going to bother taping it. Didn't blimmin' work, did it, last time? Let's stitch that down. Make sure that it's caught. Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. Excellent. Oh no, my bobbin's almost empty. Oh, I have to put a bit more in my bobbin. The last step in this design, you don't need to stitch out. It's just to stop the machine from finishing in the middle of the hoop. So now it's completely finished. So now what I suggest you do is you trim back all of these bits of fabric from the top and from the underneath of the hoop, because it's easier to do it now rather than when you've removed all of your stabilizer. So I'm going to do mine now. Grab hold of it. Nice straight line. And the same with the other side. That's done. We've got a little bit of tape being shown here, so let's get that off. I'll give myself a little bit to grab hold of. Should be able to get it off pretty easily. Turn the hoop over and do the same on the other side. So I'm going to be removing the rest of the felt from the top and the bottom here. And the same for this side as well. And then take the whole thing out of the hoop, pop it out. Oh, and then it should be easier to tear away your stabilizer. The only bit of stabilizer I think I've got there, and that's it. The rest of it's completely gone. Let's remove that from there. That's my zip for my purse, and there's the lining for the purse. And we've got two bank card slots, one there and one there, and a pocket here and a pocket here. So now what I need to do is I need to show you how to use the 5x7 hoop and stitch up the sides. If you don't want to do it in the hoop, you're more than welcome to use a sewing machine. I'm just going to trim these ends up as well. In the 5x7 hoop, I've also added 2 steps to give you boxed corners, which I'll show you how to use as well. I found the best way to stitch up the sides is from starting from the top of the bag. I'll show you in a minute. Starting from the top and then working my way down. There we go. Okay, so let's get the 5x7 hoop ready and we will sew up the sides. Okay, so line up, get ready your 5x7 and stitch up 2 placements onto your stabilizer. Okay, so this is the inside and this is the outside. So we need to put good sides facing together so that we're exposing the lining. Put the sides together like that so that both seams sit over the top of each other. Turn it over so that you're sewing from the top down to the bottom of the bag. Place it over your placement line, making sure that both corners are still together, and lower your needle into your hoop, into your design, just like that. Lower your needle, okay, so I can move it around like that and it will still stay in place. Put both the side seams together and sit them over your stitch line so you can just see the stitch line just there. Okay, and then it's going to do a couple of bean stitches, then it's just going to do a running stitch. So it's going to go pretty fast. And then do a bean stitch all the way back up again. Now I stopped it at this point because not everybody wants to have a satin stitch. But if you do want a satin stitch and you find that this looks like it's sticking out a little bit too much, because I can see my stitch line and then the new stitch line, you can cut this off using your applique scissors. Right now, my scissors. So I'm going to trim this up. I'll take this out of the hoop so that I can get my scissors in there, and you can still see what I'm doing, hopefully. Put my fingers underneath the hoop and I'm pushing the stabilizer up just so I can whip this off. My hand's underneath the hoop right now, and my other hand is cutting this excess off, just so I've got something to press onto. Let's put this back in the hoop. You might get it spot on. You might not have to do that, but if you do, it's quite easily done. Okay, let's do that satin stitch finish. Breakage. Just heard that. It's funny, isn't it? We know the sounds of our machines, and when we know that it's broken before it even tells us that it's broken a thread. Okay, so one side's done. Gently lift up the bottom of the seam and just run your finger along and just tear it away from your stabiliser. That side's done. Do the same for the other side, so match the sides up, match them up completely so that they are right on top of each other. Lower the top needle into the top. Yep, and then match the bottoms together and sew it down. That. That looks okay. Let's just go straight for it. Nearly done. Now it's going to give you a placement for the first boxed corner. You need to carefully remove the design from the hoop. Again, just make a little push at the bottom corner. Give yourself like that. It really doesn't matter that it tears. If you want to, this one's actually torn quite a bit. If you want to, you can put a bit of tape over that. I'll show you how. Just a bit of tape just to hold it together. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, cool. Right, so now we need to box the corners. We need to put our finger in the bag as it is. Put your finger in the bag like that. Let me move you out a little bit so I've got a bit more room. Okay, so this is the bag and these are the side seams stitched up. Okay, this has got a little bit of stabiliser showing, but that doesn't matter. I can run a lighter along that and get rid of that if I wish. So put my hand in the bag and there's my finger. What we need to do is we need to make a triangle from the bag here and run this seam along the bottom, so it makes a nice triangle. Turn it upside down like so, so that your satin edge is at the bottom, and you sit your satin edge over here. Make sure that they sit over the top of each other. You can see, just bring it in a little bit from the edge, because mine doesn't look like it's going to sit. It's not sitting directly over the top of each other, so I'm moving it back a little bit, just like about 2 millimeters, and then sew them down. I'm holding it in place as I sew. And then it's going to stitch a placement for this one. I need to remove it from here and do the same. Oops, do the same for the other corner. So push my hand in, make a triangle, make sure the satin stitch is facing downwards, place it over. Whoops, place it over the stitch line. Nope, it's not right yet. Do that again. Yep. Place it over the stitch line. Lower my needle and stitch it down. That tapping was my bracelet. And this last stitch you don't need to use, just to stop the machine going into the middle of the hoop. So all you need to do now is just trim up the ends, tidy up all these little bits. Sorry, I've got a bit of getting over a cold or a cough or whatever I had. It wasn't COVID. done a PCR test and it came back negative. I've been okay myself, but I've just had a really awful cough. Okay, so that is that. Let's turn the bag out the right way. And there's one of the boxed corners. And there's the other boxed corner. I've missed it a little bit. I could have got a little bit closer in there. Just run it over with my sewing machine, I think. You see, it wasn't sat straight over. It's boxed it, but I can just see the seam a little bit. But there is the bag. There. And that's the back. And there's the inside. You can see. So now I'm going to finish off the bag and add the bag clasp and finish the design off. So yeah, I tell you what, I will go back over that corner, show you how I'll do it. Which one was it? It was that one. Okay, let's go and do that one again. That one was fine. The other one, not so fine. I can see it now. So I'm just going to move it back a little bit more. I'm not even going to put tape across it. I'm going to put it back down. Let's do it again. Just moved it in a little bit more. Make sure it catches. That should be better. So look. There we go. Look at that. So if you do find that it doesn't catch it properly, just go over it and do it again. Don't be frightened to redo it. And that one looks great as it is. Hi, 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 hi. Finished. Yay. Get all that off. Don't need that in there. That's from the stabiliser, I think. How fabulous is that bag going to look when I've finished it? I'll add a picture. But if you want to know how to add the bag clasp, look up in my previous videos and it shows you how to add it. So I'm going to add it right now and I'll show you how it's looking. And as if by magic, da, 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 da. There you go. Finito. How about that then? Doesn't that look super? And you've got an inside purse pocket here. You've got 2 card slots and 2 little pockets. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you have liked my tutorial. I know I'm not great at it. I'm not the best, but you guys seem to like seeing how they're made, so I try my best, and hopefully they help. So thanks for watching, and come back again next time.